In the shadows where the silence speaks, I walk the line where the lost souls seek. With whispers of hope and a guiding light, I'll search the dark, bring the truth to light. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the light. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find a way, I'll draw you near. I'm a seeker of the unseen, I'm bridging worlds where the heart has been, where the heart. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Draw you near. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. My hope and hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the love. When hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the light.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. Spirit shows me patterns across past, present, and future. What comes through can be symbolic, metaphoric, or not always literal, though sometimes it is. Messages often carry multiple meanings that weave together through energetic tracking, prophetic sequencing, and blueprint mapping. I know I talk fast sometimes, it's just how spirit flows through me. You can always replay or slow down if you need to. I triple check what I receive with astrology and cards, but this isn't about being 100% right. It's about truth, responsibility, and integrity. I'm the one sitting with spirit on these cases, so this is a space for truth seeking, not debate. Please respect the work. If you can't honor spirit, this may not be the place for you. If my work resonates, the best way to help is through community support for Justice's Cadaver Dog Training Fund. It doesn't take huge donations. Even the cost of a coffee adds up when many give. Shop new merch and help Justice on his mission. Links to my shop and donation page are pinned below. Every purchase helps fund the work. Thank you for being here. Now let's get on to today's case. I missed it. The ball was going. There we go. Thank you. I was actually just getting a picture of Rachel from the spirit image that we got in my hallway, and I was actually looking for it. And then the ball started going off again. Went off a little bit earlier, but I couldn't get my camera going in time. So they're already ready for me to do this case. All right, so I wanted to get this recorded today. I've been trying to get it recorded for quite some time. I apologize for it being so late. Here we go. They're ready. But they're ready. And so I've been pushed to do this today. I'm trying to get it done before my live tonight. And as you can see, the girls are showing up, ready for their story to be told. I was actually given the Fort Worth Trio case. I don't know. It's been a couple months, I think. I worked about 7 hours on it. I have a lot to share with you today, including visions, astrology, asteroids, all of it. I don't know why my eye is hurting. And so I'm going to break it all down for you the best way that I can. It was a lot to compile, and I didn't want to lose anything. And so I knew this was going to be kind of a really important video. And yeah. So my brain, I can't think all of a sudden. Anyways, if I get anything also while I'm talking to you, I will make sure that I tell you. The girls were very strong in what they showed me. So if you guys don't know the case, you can always look up the Fort Worth Trio. That's what they're known as. Rachel, Julie, and Renee. It's a cold case, and actually I had tried to send in a tip, and unfortunately for some reason they were like, we don't have this case, and it was a cold case unit, so I have to actually figure out where to send the tip at. But somebody did donate for this, and it ended up sending me down a rabbit hole, and there has been a lot of confirmation since. So I actually will show you on the map where I feel that they are towards the end of this. I will show you the spirit images as well that show that they are present and they're ready. Okay, so keep in mind, and I need to say this very clearly because we are going to mention a suspect. This is for entertainment purposes only. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Viewer discretion is advised. Let me put that little asset up here, because there is a few things that came through that were quite kind of disturbing. And yeah, so this is all alleged. It's not fact. A lot of info to share, and as you guys know, I like to back things up with I get my visions, I do the cards, and I use the astrology to kind of back things up so that I'm just not telling you. I went on quite a quite a trip with this one, and I'm not going to actually show you the cards. I'm just going to tell you what I got. So first off, I pulled some cards on it. Outsider, labor, tradesman, male, elder, because he's an elder now. He wasn't at the time. In plain sight, stranger. Online contact, in a symbolic sense, is pretending to be someone he's not. Manipulated departure, random attack, traffic that's more for himself, overkill, obsession, homicide, delusion, held against their will, burned, crushed, remains revealed, weapon, asphyxiation, poisoning, river path, which there is a river actually that I just found. I thought I got that card behind where I think they are. Trapped, construction, which is kind of symbolic for where they're at, and I'll explain in a minute. There might have actually be something built on top of them. I don't know. Large body of water, national forest could be other victims. But there's also some wooded areas that are very close by to there. Opposite direction, meaning opposite direction, probably either from where they were looking or where people thought, or also it's kind of opposite from where they were taken from. Woods, which again is around there. Water supply drainage, which is around there where they are in water. Shallow burial, and then, but I think it's more, some of these cards honestly could be other victims. Crossroads. So we did get a golf. I did pull for each of them. So I don't know if this was meaning like, I think they're all in one place, but so the golf course in this instance, there is a golf course that you pass on the way, but there's also like kind of like an area where you can go hang out, and they have like baseball diamonds and stuff like that, so it can be symbolic for that type of area. Never left, close to last known, which they're not very far. Railroad tracks, junkyard, multiple locations, trapped, graveyard, crossroads. Lisa, Circle back, golf course, again, north, deep burial, power lines, path trail, property, container, shed, and work. All these will make sense in a second. Julie, familiar area to the perpetrator, container, again, junkyard, again, cardinal, again, which it is northeast, I believe. Parking lot, which they were taken out of, and then north, and then golf course you do pass, and again, there's that area across that. It's just symbolic for that type of location where people can play sports and hang out. City, woods, east, so northeast. Rocky, trash dumped, storage, highway, which is really close. Beyond reach, again, the national forest. There is woods across from there, but it could be another victim. Industrial property, which this is, trapped, never left, graveyard, fork in the road. So all of these really do match where they are, and I'll get into that in a minute. And then I did a repull. Graveyard, circle back, container, bridge, junkyard. Again, every single time I pulled a card, I pulled the junkyard and the golf course every single time. And so again, that area isn't specifically a golf course, although you do pass one. It's just that type of location that's across from there. Junkyard, storage, multiple locations, covered, wraps, never left where they were unalived at. Abandoned structure, deep burial, north again, beyond reach, burned, construction, off the beaten path, close to last known location. They're only about 8 miles. Parking lot was where they were taken from. Liminal zones, boundary, which can be of a property, shallow burial property, farm field. Now, the thing with this is I do not know if they actually have another property. I know who we're looking at now, but I don't know if they have a private property of their own. So these girls were taken by someone that pretended to be someone he wasn't. He was a stranger. They may have known him from a local business or a community. He may have come across charming, kind of like a Ted Bundy, a chameleon, hides in plain sight. He echoes a bit of Rick Allen, which he mirrors the personality of, a hybrid archetype of the two, Bundy and Rick. He has Bundy's aggression and anger. We compared charts of Ted and Rick Allen, and there were some of the same markers, including a Pluto pattern match. At the time, he would have been 20s to 30s, roundabout, possessive, trafficking for himself. I pulled the manipulated departure, meaning that he manipulated them into thinking he was someone he's not. I see a different car tied to him. It looks brown, maybe rusted with a long front end, 2-door, but I feel like there could be multiple cars that he would just get rid of. The man has darkish hair, possibly bluish or greenish eyes. He was delusional. He has a delusional psychology and an obsessive feeling as to why he does these things. He probably had fantasies or does. He's masked appearing as an upstanding citizen, disguised evil with charm or community standing. Treated them like they were his property, fantasy partners, or obedient dolls. Tried to train or control them. They were trapped and held against their will. Most likely killed at different times, and there are multiple locations tied. And that could be places he took them to or whatever. He stalked them long before abducting them. He has a nice guy mask. Likely has some sort of offense, maybe has some sort of offense, maybe tied to stalking at some point. He gets obsessive. According to my visions, he may have become an alcoholic. He was a stranger, an outsider to the group, maybe also a bit shy and reserved, hiding in plain sight. Tradesman and worked around cars and metals. He pretended to be helpful, maybe offering a ride in a taxi cab if that's what was seen, but it's a vehicle that was later crushed. They aren't far from where they went missing. I kept getting junkyard, graveyard cards, property, and circle back. This guy had delusions about one of them or all of them liking him. Thinking he was dating them. I got psychic hits of different shows to validate this. It's how spirit works with me. They give me references that I can relate to. So one guy in the references would keep girls and kill them. when he would get a new one, but he would try to mind control them into being like his wife, girlfriend, or taking care of him. I don't know how long he held these girls or if that was his original intention, but I also was getting the impression of a farm and a barn, and a show again in Criminal Minds of a guy who used to get drunk and keep these girls in a barn party. Then, with whenever he would kill one when he was done with them, and then he would get another one. It's that type of thing. But the guy is a serial killer. There are way more bodies tied to him, more than likely. So, more than likely, the girls were SA and then unalived in different manners. Asphyxiation, one crush, that can be literal or symbolic, but I did hear the crushing of a car. I'll get into that in a minute. And the image of a girl in the car as the car was compacted was very vivid. There was burning involved at some point that may have been abuse or to destroy evidence. I heard a car crusher. So and I pulled the junkyard and golf course multiple times, again, telling me to circle back. Also, many of the cards were talking about splits or crossroads energies. So it could be two locations if there's a property tied to him that I'm not aware of, that I can't find, is how I took it. I highly think the Elliott Reed Junkyard, Little John's, I think it was salvage, or um, it's called Little John's, is involved, and that the two of the girls are buried there. But I think it's actually all three of them, the more that I think about it. So one was crushed in a vehicle, hence the crushing sound, and I saw it very, very vividly. I could see her inside and it coming down everything. I also saw a tractor dig a deep hole, and he had two bodies on top of one another. He looked down, smoking a cigarette in a blue work shirt, and kind of just threw it, very cold and calculated, very disassociative. He is still alive, but likely in his 70s, 80s, and he is still alive as far as we know because I looked him up. There may be a body, but multiple bodies, because he didn't stop, I don't feel, and I feel like he was an active serial killer. That's how this feels. The Jupiter line runs through Jarvis Road and the Jarvis salvage site itself. The pattern is too consistent to ignore. I kept getting property things, property lines, storage shed, the junkyard owned by the Jarvis family. From my research, Little John's Wrecking Yard, that's what it's called. And I would be curious if they ever had a farm or another property, like a farm or just another private property. I was looking at each name, and with Joe Jarvis, the girls called JJ, in my head, I got the taste of blood and a headache that was splitting the whole time. I felt extremely sick and I got the chills in my legs, and it was just really bad. So that's some kind of confirmation that let me know that that was the correct one, especially with that strong taste of blood. This will be especially valid if he later married and had son around the time of the murders in 1975 or 1976. He had the equipment to deeply bury, and oh, there we go. One may not be recovered, but others can be. One seems, interestingly enough, did you see when that ball went off and who I mentioned? Just saying. One seems to be out of reach according to the cards, but Pluto in Aquarius is perfect for this case. Now is the time to heat this up and find them if possible. The junkyard is not far from where they were. I got cards not far from the parking lot, so a little less than 8 miles. I'll show you on the map in a minute, and it aligns perfectly with direction and bearing. So there we go. My cards were eerily straight on with the astrology and on point. I kept pulling the same cards: golf course, junkyard, property, graveyard, all repeating and never left two. So this property is a graveyard. He's got multiple bodies there, possibly, or on a private property we're not aware of. Look at them go. They're validating a lot. There's not a doubt. That's why that kept coming up. Sorry, I'm having a hard time breathing. So it is the junkyard, by again, by that area where I'll show you which one it is, but you'll see what I mean. I got some other things: railroad tracks, power lines, all reference points. But National Forest came up twice, so that could be the woodsy area by there, but it can also be just places nearby it, places with evidence or more victims. The girls kept pointing me back to the junkyard, and then I got the vision of the guy in the barn in the Criminal Minds show, and I shit you not, the next card was Farm Field. So I'd be curious if they ever did own anything like that. I don't know if back in the day, again, they ever had a property like this. We're talking many years ago. So this could be a piece. He could have held them in a barn or whatever. Also, container came in 3 times, which could literally be the vehicle. Um, so astrology notes and why this area stood out. When I worked the disappearance chart for the Fort Worth trio, I'm really having a hard time breathing. I'm sorry. It showed a rare mix, and I'm hot, of 4th house and 8th house Pluto signatures. In astrology, these patterns often describe hidden underground or discarded sites to tied to secrecy and control, combined with Mars Saturn aspects, action plus restriction, and Neptune Venus themes, lure and concealment. It suggested the work of someone operating repeatedly, not a one time event. That is why the bearings kept pointing to salvage, junkyard, and drainage type locations. A pattern very reminiscent of the Fox Hollow case style, without saying it's not the same person. It's just an echo of it. This isn't an accusation, it's simply the symbolic map the chart produced, which is why this physical area caught my attention. Now, we have the astrological profile of the perpetrator, which is just astrology. Calculated, restrained, and disciplined, Sun in Capricorn conjunct Mercury. Likely older than he appeared or presented as mature for his age. Comes off serious, helpful, and hardworking. May have had a job or trade involving structure, mechanics, or physical labor. Pretends to be reliable. Big, can I help you carry that energy? His vibe is a nice guy exterior, dry, maybe even awkward, but purposely so. A controlled creep. Moon in Scorpio. Deep emotional impression or repression, power issues, obsession, and control. He was possessive, but not just impulsive. Held people psychologically hostage even before any crime. Gets off on secrecy and the idea of someone being his doll, prize, or pet. Cold and watchful, emotionally constipated but feral behind the eyes. Mars and Pisces, weak physical aggression, signature, but strong deceptive tendencies. Passive aggressive predator, lures rather than chases. May drug intoxicate or manipulate instead of overt violence at first, which I felt like chloroform or some sort of drugging could have happened at some point. Could have religious guilt, shame wrapped up in sexuality. Prone to alcoholism or substance abuse, which I did pick up. Doesn't fight fair, weak fist, strong fantasies, possibly poisons, drugs, smothers, may cry after. Venus in Aquarius, detached, treats people as concepts or roles. May have convinced himself the girls chose him or that he was rescuing them. Kinks or fetishes likely weird, controlled, or dehumanizing. Neptune rising, approximate ascendant. Master of disguise. May present as a nobody. Could be in photos on the sidewalk at church and never noticed. Deception is his weapon of choice. Could pose as a cab driver, serviceman, or neighbor. Spiritually masked. People may literally forget his face. His profile, astro sketch profile. Late 20s to 30s, likely born 1935 to 1950-ish range. Appearance, dark, and that's just a range-ish. Appearance is dark hair, possibly thick and slightly unkempt. Eyes, watery or light-colored, greenish, bluish, grayish, possibly intense or vacant. Build, lean to medium, not huge. Stronger lower body. Mars and Pisces can show subtle strength, not bulky. May have had acne scars, facial asymmetry, or eyes slightly too close set. A working class, possibly wears coveralls, work boots, flannel, not flash, blends in. Demeanor, friendly but off. Polite in public, awkwardly intense in private. And remember that an astro profile may not be exact when it comes to looks. Okay. Watches others like prey, may be overly helpful in a way that triggers the gut. Seems normal at first glance until you notice his stillness. His job could be mechanical work, vehicle salvage, metal, farm labor, repairman. Worked alone or with limited supervision. delete that, were likely connected to junkyard, farm, or property with sheds machinery. Overall archetype, the disguised fixer. The man who seems like he's helping until you realize that he knows how to disassemble more than engines. Confirmed burial site, we feel, is the junkyard on Elliott Reed, Little John's. Please don't go over there. We need to get police to investigate. Repeated junkyard pulls, horary confirmation of 2 bodies buried, psychic audio, my compactor hearing, never left circle back messages. This is a graveyard in disguise. Pluto transit overlay matches a karmic reveal window. The Jupiter line hit expansion and exposure, possible location of a third victim or extended evidence, liminal boundary, and shed cards all aligned here. And that could be again, I don't know if he has a private property or not. Kind of feels like there's like that Fox Hollow private property, and then there's the junkyard. So let's see. And then I pulled another card. I pulled more cards, and we have power and control, remains revealed, mental instability, beaten in spirit, them, held against their will, they were, DNA, jealousy, predator, silent witness, missing, delusion, mature because he is now, alive, so mature and alive, he's older and he's still alive. Last I checked, he was. Labor, tradesman, male, random attack, truck driver, transport, elder, which he is an elder now. Field farmland, cardinal, which is between 2 areas, which is kind of like northeast. Storage, railroad track, shed, container, parking lot, which they were abducted from. Power lines, woods, off beaten path, fork in the road, river, creek beds, which is behind house, covered, wrapped, path, city, junkyard, familiar area to him. Beyond reach, trapped, rooted tree, west, golf course, which is kind of west of the golf course if you look at the golf course. Construction foundation, body in a vehicle, which really validated that close to last known location. So the salvage yard, Little John's, located adjacent to that area I was talking about, and near railroad tracks, property aligns repeatedly with directional and symbolic markers obtained through spiritual investigative work and astrology overlays. And again, we got the junkyard every single time. There's vehicles towed or abandoned, machinery, compactor, and possible burial within or beneath a crushed car. Again, water features nearby. The river flows right behind there, and there's woods as well. Something that I was gonna send in, but a male figure believed to be involved and own a property, including possibly another property that's rural, tied to a strong Jupiter asteroid line, and potentially had access to a salvage yard during the 1970s. The suspect is associated with Joe Jarvis. Allegedly. I had a TV synchronicity the night that I was working on the asteroids. I had a show on, and I can't remember what show it was, but it was a cop show. It was new. I wasn't really paying attention, and then all of a sudden I finished the case, and the cops were at a junkyard, and they were asking to see inside the junkyard, and there was a compacted car, and I was like, well, that's TV synchronicity. And a couple frames later, because this was literally a rabbit hole for me, the guy tells the girl, yeah, you and your rabbit holes. Talk about laughing out loud, but that was validation for me. So again, he could have labor tradesman background, familiarity with junkyard and towing service, and a history of aggressive and possible delusional traits. So over a series of divination sessions, horary charts, 2 victims appear to be buried together at the salvage yard, and one possibly still inside a compacted vehicle. A consistent feeling of circle back energy and a reference to a silent witness. So then we aligned the charts of Fort Worth Trio, December 23rd, 1974 at noon, to the Fox Hollow Farm, June 1996 at the Discovery. because I wanted to kind of see what the echoes were because it was reminding me so much of that energy. And we had the Pluto Power Death Hidden Crimes. 1974, the Pluto was at 8 degrees Libra, and in 1996, Pluto was 2 degrees Sagittarius. Both cases occurred with Pluto in early degrees of Libra and Sagittarius. Two signs tied to relationships, justice systems, and belief systems. Pluto and Libra in 1974, hiding in plain sight, twisted partnerships, false harmony, and Pluto and Sagittarius in 1996, exposing hidden ideologies, confronting corrupted beliefs, or normal looking people with dark secrets. Both point to karmic patterns of buried truth, public deception, and institutions failing victims. Neptune illusion, deceit, and disappearance. In 1974, the Neptune was at 9 degrees Sagittarius. In 1996, Neptune at 25 degrees Capricorn, meaning that Neptune rules confusion, vanishing, gaslighting, and mystery. In both cases, Neptune was in a hard-edged ideological signs, Sag and Cap. In 1974, Neptune and Sagittarius, we're just going to Houston, lie, spiritual bypassing, runaway narrative. In 1996, Neptune and Cap, systematic failure and illusion of authority and success. Fox Hollow, respected family man with a literal graveyard. These placements show both cases had deceptive, misleading veil over the truth that persisted for years. Saturn, authority and control, institutional failure. I'm having a really hard time breathing, guys. Sorry. 1974, Saturn at 15 degrees Cancer. In 1996, Saturn at 12 degrees Aries, meaning that Saturn tells us where the system fails or tries to control the narrative. And Saturn in Cancer in 1974, control over emotions, familial repression, and lack of proper protection. Saturn in Aries in 1996 is aggressive, self serving authority, individual power overriding the group. Both cases show where grown ups, the system, could have stepped in and didn't. Mars, violence, aggression, and action. In 1974, Mars was at 8 degrees Sagittarius, and in 1996, Mars was at 21 degrees Gemini, meaning that this shows the method of harm or control. Mars and Sag in 1974, coercion cloaked in I'm here to help, likely travel movement used as a lure with the girls' case. And Mars and Gemini in 1996 with Fox Hollow, a split personality energy, fast shifts, double lives, herb energy 100%. Biermeister, I think his name was. Both Mars placements point to manipulation and a predator using intelligence, language, and charm to attack. Moon, emotional imprint. 1974, the moon was in early Taurus, and in 1996, the moon is in late Sagittarius. This tells us how the world emotionally responded or the emotional coding of the case. Taurus equals suppressed, don't rock the boat, and Sag expands past it. Keep moving, don't ask questions. Both point to emotional avoidance, cases that were swept aside emotionally either by families, police, or communities. Both cases have Pluto hiding death in plain sight, Neptune lying through the illusion of trust, and Saturn showing how the system screwed up. The way the girls were taken quickly without a trace and with cover up energy. Echoes Fox Hollow hard. And the guy behind it all, Spirit says elder energy, dual identity, luring, exactly what we saw with Herb. I can't say his last name. The man who took the girls was young, skilled, strategic, and already a predator in mode at 23. He likely continued afterward, possibly with control cooling off period, but the Fox Hollow reference was a style, not a timeline. If he is still alive, which I didn't, if he is still alive, which Spirit gave me. If he's still alive, he's now in his 70s, 80s, possibly training others, retelling his story, or obsessively reliving what he did. The echo could literally carry on through a student, son, or symbolic inheritor. Elder signature because he's still alive. What happened with those girls wasn't a one-off. He was 23, already hunting. The Fox Hollow energy wasn't just symbolic. It was a mirror of what he become. And the father's energy present, yes, but not as the killer. The chart shows a karmic failure to stop it, not the act itself. The guy knew exactly what he was doing, and he might not have stopped. Joe Jarvis's allegedly father showed up in the crime chart not as a killer but as a karmic thread. that allowed the darkness to take root. The land felt marked. Spirit showed me a generational energy, like Joe carried out what his father allowed, ignored, or spiritually passed down. Whether the father knew or not, his role is written into through his silence, land, and legacy. He's part of the web, just not the hand that took the girls. The crime chart shows Neptune deception overlays. Someone posing as safe but was not intimate or known. No Venus Mars synastry overlays, which would indicate a personal romantic sexual entanglement. So it's not the boyfriend or anybody like that. Instead, we saw Pluto square Mercury Mars, which says the control was about power, not passion. So this wasn't a love gone wrong. It was a stranger or fringe contact who used manipulation to gain quick control. The only way to take 3 girls at once is through trust facade, pretending to be a cop, store employee, or someone needing help, drugging or shocking, chloroform, etc., which I kind of saw, weapon intimidation. This is not a boyfriend or known person operates. It's too strategic. Spirit gave me again Fox Hollow, visionary. Spirit gave me the visionary pattern of Fox Hollow, Criminal Minds cases with charming monsters, auto shop vibes, and cover up cards. These don't match boyfriend turned killer stories. They match predators with power, respectability, and affront. The cover up energy points to reputation. Just like in Molly's case, families with businesses since 1950s, respected name equals protected name. That generation of silence often meant don't accuse that man, he's known here. Let's not ruin the family's reputation or police hesitation or suppression. So my vision was right. This wasn't a cover up for a family member, it was a cover up for a local pillar. I know what the charts and cards and spirit says. It wasn't someone they knew. This wasn't a husband or a boyfriend. The chart doesn't show personal betrayal. It shows manipulation, staging, and illusion. The energy matches like Herb, ones who put on a mask of respectability, and I believe the reason it was buried is because he or his family was someone important in the area. When someone has old money, old businesses, or old ties, people get quiet, but spirit won't let it stay buried. They didn't really cover for Joe, they covered for Joe's dad. Not because he did it, but because he knew he was respected. And if his son is exposed, so is the entire name, reputation, and empire. Joe was young but enabled. The father was powerful and respected enough to either pull favors with law enforcement, scare people into silence, or quietly erase details without even raising suspicion. This matches spiritual and astrological cover-up signatures. Saturn and Neptune energy, powerful figure using image to distort truth, and South Node karma, people protecting that what they shouldn't out of habit or loyalty. The cards literally said legacy and cover up and facade. And Jay didn't need to be known or respected. His father was. That's what got this buried. I think people didn't protect Joe, they protected the name. And if dad had even the slightest idea of what happened, even if he didn't approve, the instinct was protect the family, not the truth. Spirit keeps showing me that this wasn't just about what Joe did, allegedly. It was about who let it happen and who made it sure it disappeared. So, we know that this wasn't just a one-man crime, it wasn't romantic, and it wasn't random. It was a quietly protected act that got buried in plain sight because of powerful men couldn't face the fallout of his son being a predator. Spirit showed me someone who had done this in his head long before he acted. Someone who saw them as objects in fantasy, not as real people. And the energy says that he was calculating enough to control all 3 at once, likely using false trust, possible drugs, or fast intimidation. This wasn't someone they loved or were involved with. This was a predator, not a partner. And that's why it's so hard to see, because the danger comes from outside, not within their circle. The core chart energy. Sun in Capricorn, square Mars in Aries, force, aggression, someone overpowering. Sun in Cancer, opposite Venus, control, domestic lies, but also imprisonment and containment. Pluto and Libra square the nodes. Karmic crime, hidden in plain sight, tied to partnership or property. Moon in Gemini, 8th house. Multiple victims, hidden burial, restless movement. Right away, the chart screams planned action with a fixed disposal site rather than opportunistic snatch. We did asteroid overlay on this one with suspects, vehicles, property, and disposal. So we use the names Jarvis, Elliot, and Reader. Jarvis conjunct Pluto, Libra. This is intense. Pluto equals death, burial, hidden. So Jarvis energy is tied to disposal and control. Elliot Reader aspects Mars, Aries. That makes them the action hands of the crime, physical, overpowering transport. Interpretation, one name tied to control, disposing, another tied to the actual act, but they go together because it's just a road. Disposal location markers. Junkyard. Conjunct Saturn, Cancer. Saturn equals heavy cold structure. This is a classic junkyard industrial yard confirmation. Automobile mechanicus. Opposite Moon and Gemini. The victim's moon and the car's automobile are literally opposite. They're tied together in the 8th house of death, hidden things. Private hollow. This falls in the 4th house. Icy underground base roots. Strong echo of buried, hidden, and private land. Fox square Pluto. Fox Hollow 2.0 symbolism nails itself into the disposal energy. Interpretation. Again, this points again to a junkyard like private property, very likely crushed, disposed in a car. Perpetrator energy. Serial. Conjunct Mars. That's chilling. Violence plus serial equals repeated pattern behavior. Chameleon, which is, I love to talk about chameleons and how they change forms. Conjunct Neptune, Sagittarius. That's disguise, deception, someone blending in. Tow driver, mechanic, everyday guy. Carolina tow energy, linked to nodes. Feels faded, karmic repeating cycle. Interpretation fits a serial offender who blends in. Mechanic, tow yard, junk dealer. Someone who could handle vehicles and crush, dispose without suspicion. So the overall narrative is the disappearance chart plus the asteroids validate the Fox Hollow 2.0 theme, private property, serial predator, industrial feel, and repeated MO. The names do resonate. Jarvis on Pluto disposal, Elliot Reader on Mars, the Force Act. Junkyard plus Saturn locks in car crusher, industrial site of disposal. Victim's moon and Gemini opposite the automobile is eerily exact to the girls hidden in cars or a girl hidden in car. Chameleon Neptune, perp disguised as a normal worker, likely connected to vehicles towing our scrapyard. So the astrology with asteroid confirms private property, industrial site disposal. Junkyard, car crusher, disposal, very likely. Car plus Saturn junk. Fox Hollow parallel is spot on. Not random abduction, but a serial predator tied to land property. Names like Jarvis, Elliot Reader do fall in the violent disposal zone, so they're tied energetically. This makes the case less about a stranger kidnapping to keep them alive and more about predatory disposal tied to vehicles, property access. Remember my vision of the crushing in the car and the two bodies on top and the deep burial and him smoking. Astrology didn't separate into two different properties. It clusters the energy together, Pluto plus Jarvis plus junk Saturn. That could mean it's one extended property or two linked ones, like farm residential, the junkyard across the street, because names Jarvis, Elliot Reader both sit on violent disposal points. It looks like two separate unconnected dump sites and more like connected properties owned or controlled by the same hands. So my feeling about multiple bodies on one property with possibly two disposal styles, buried, car crushing, does fit the astrology, and the chart echoes a single network of disposal rather than totally different areas. The vision of him smoking a cigarette and standing over in a deep burial is literally Pluto and / Jarvis exact. Pluto is burial, hidden death, and Jarvis sits right there. The vision of one crushed in a car, moon opposite automobile, plus Saturn junk is the astrology couldn't scream crushed vehicle disposal louder. Multiple bodies layered. Moon and Gemini in the 8th. More than one hidden together. So yes, what I've been seeing and shown matches how the chart reads. The golf course you pass, but also recreational place is close It's close. Golf course in my cards can also be a recreational place, which Gateway Park fits, which I didn't realize that till recently, which makes sense in other cases now. That fits the symbolism of Neptune, chameleon, a public-facing innocent place literally next to hidden horror. It's like spirit keeps showing me that right next to something recreational open is a shadow site, junkyard, private land. The polarity is consistent. Astrologically, with Jarvis conjunct Pluto in Libra, death barrel hidden, the energy puts Jarvis squarely in the disposal zone. That doesn't mean he personally dug the hole, but it strongly suggests his name property line is tied to where the bodies are concealed. Because the late reader, the junkyard, ties into Mars, the violent act, the two names work together. Mars side, the act of the violence transport, and the Pluto side, the burial disposal property. That's why it works with both names. That's why it looks like both names matter, but significantly different phases of a crime. Um, so there's not really unrelated properties that I know of unless there's a private property. But it would be like a cluster, like private property all tied to the same group family. The chart does not suggest movement of these particular bodies. They were placed and left, and multiple bodies, multiple methods. Deep burial, crushed card, that's consistent. The card points to Jarvis Road area. It can match a private property or a section of the junkyard connected to industrial lot somewhere with earth moving ability and control. Pluto Jarvis equals deep earth, repeated burial layers. This is the place that looks more like Fox Hollow 2.0 energy, multiple bodies hidden in ground like ritual repeated. The smoking of a grave vision ties here. If he had access control of this property, it could have been a quiet dump spot. Little John's Elliott Reader Junkyard. Mars / Elliott Reader plus Saturn Junk equals mechanical destruction. Violence hidden through metal and machinery. That's where the crushed car vision ties. This looks like the industrial disposal site, a way to cover more obvious remains. And again, the recreational area being across the street makes sense. It's a landmark that pops psychically because spirit will show what's easiest to spot near the real thing. So beyond the trio, the chart and symbolism suggest more than just Fort Worth trio. Pluto and heavy aspects with Jarvis rarely shows a one-off crime. It's tied to repetition, secrecy, power over life/death. The Fox Hollow 2.0 isn't just metaphorical. This looks like a land network situation where multiple victims may be buried or hidden across both properties. Junkyard energy, Saturn plus Mars. Many opportunities to destroy and cover, not just once. The astrology and vision suggest that at least a few additional bodies beyond the trio. Deep hole, stacked cars, seeing earth dug out with cars around the pit, that strongly suggests the junkyard itself had an area, cleared dig site, not just cars dumped. Junkyards often have scrap pits or excavated sections where earth meets car stacks. This could be where he buried two of the girls. The cigarette detail, very specific. Sometimes spirit uses it as a fingerprint. It could mark the exact moment of concealment. He had no remorse, just casualness. Crushed car burial. Not wrong on this. The car crushing to conceal remains has precedent. If he had equipment, a compactor, loader, he could have slipped the body inside before crushing. That could make forensic recovery near impossible without knowing which car. Vision lines up with the junkyard itself being a burial zone with possibly multiple concealment methods. Deep pit burial with soil/cars around, at least one body inside a crushed car. There could be a farm or another secondary junkyard or secondary property that could tie in here as well. So we also ran the asteroid serial and chameleon, and here's what comes through in the disappearance chart overlay when we check those. Asteroid serial, tightly conjuncted Mars, Pluto, violence plus hidden burial. Screams repeat offender, not one time. Confirms Fox Hollow 2.0 vibes, multiple bodies, not just the trio. Asteroid chameleon, aspects Mercury, Neptune, deception plus shifting face. This fits the profile of someone who blends in, hides under different roles, mechanic, junkman, neighbor. It also validates why law enforcement didn't catch him. He literally camouflaged socially. Together, these asteroids say serial disposal camouflaged in plain sight with Earth plus scrap metal themes. It's almost word for word what I've described. Um, there could be, again, another private property that I couldn't find, like a personal dump zone. But the junkyard is absolutely an active burial ground. Vision of a pit cars matches both astrology and what these asteroids underlined. Multiple victims are likely there, not just the trio. That's why Spirit keeps showing stacked imagery, not symbolic, but literal stacking of cases and victims. The smoky moment may be Spirit's way of cementing this is the spot, this is the signature. Fort Worth Trio case carries the same energetic signature as Fox Hollow, a respected man, property tied to his name, and hidden victims in plain sight. Two girls buried in a deep pit surrounded by cars and one inside a crushed car. Image has never changed. Spirit shows it again and again, which means it's not symbolic, it's anchor point. Asteroids like Serial and Chameleon highlight deception, blending in, and compulsive behavior. Location markers Jarvis Elliott Reader lit up directly in the disappearance chart, pointing straight to the junkyard property. Like Herb Buminister at Fox Hollow, this perpetrator was respected, known to the community, and therefore never suspected. With the street and business carrying the family name, it gave a veneer of legitimacy. That's why no one questioned, because predators often hide behind status. I feel like he may have been even kind of like sort of shy. I don't know why I'm getting that now, but that may have been when he was younger. The junkyard is primarily the primary burial site. There may be another property that holds an overflow or additional victims, but the trio's energy aligns strongest with the junkyard itself. It's not random, it isn't scattered, and it's methodical, concealed under earth and metal, hidden in a place where the killer felt untouchable. Jarvis 33544 falls in direct contact with Pluto Hades energy in the disappearance chart, points toward death, concealment, burial, lines up with the road and the family name connection. Reader read asteroids are entangled in industria plus auto, symbolizing junkyard industrial mechanics, vehicles, validates my crushed car vision. Joe Joseph Josephia, family name, asteroids tie multiple sign energy, Gemini Pisces, echoing dual life, community respect versus hidden predation. Exactly the pillar of the community mask we compared to Fox Hollow. Auto Industria expecting Mars equals industrial worksite machines crushing force. My vision being inside the car as it's being crushed. That's just a validation for it. Mask plus Hermes overlay. The chameleon vibe hiding in plain sight, blending into community. Hollow-like markers show through Pluto. Chiron and Earth signs suggesting burial deep excavation. So the chart doesn't split into nearly like farm and junkyard. Instead, it shows both properties or two properties that are same energetic signature, meaning bodies could be spread between them. I just don't know where the other property is. You need somebody that can do better research than I can. The Fox Hollow 2.0 Echo, multiple death asteroids, Nessus Hades, cluster around the name asteroids. Not just 3 victims. The same serial energy pattern shows as Fox Hollow, community man, multiple hidden graves, property involvement, pattern of a respectful mask. The current transits and why Spirit's been pushing now when I did the case originally was we had Saturn in retrograde in Pisces it was currently activating the disappearance chart's 8th house of death hidden underground and forcing hidden truth up. That's exactly why I ended up picking up the case. This is why I tell you guys everything has timing. Pluto was retrograde in Capricorn. It squares the name asteroids Jarvis and Joe. Pressure on secrets tied to the family name. Neptune in retrograde in Pisces was amplifying the psychic impressions and visions, making them harder to ignore. That was very true. Spirit was literally amplifying the signatures until they were acknowledged. Summary: Jarvis plus reader names are directly tied to death, burial, and junkyard markers, allegedly. Astrology and visions only. Vision of the crushed car, cigarette deep barrel, strongly supported by asteroids. Likely more than 3 victims connected. Fox Hollow 2.0 vibe and farm and junkyard are both involved. One in the burial pits and the other vehicle disposal. And so, told you it was crazy. That's what I have for you. I will show you really quick. We did align, because I got to get going. So we did align the going to show you the map. We did align the map. Now this is miles and bearing and most likely area, and it does line up. So I just wanted to show you that to you. Okay. So from where they were taken is here. Here's the mall, La Grande Plaza, Fort Worth Mall. Going northeast, northeast, about Little John's Wrecking Yard. Okay. An industrial area. There's all kinds of. It's on Elliott Reader Road. And see, this is the river I was talking about. And I believe I got the pond card too. So pond, river, this is wooded. So literally it's right behind there. So that's why all that was coming up, is to validate that area. And then we have the Gateway Park, which is, like I said, a recreational area, which can tie to that sort of energy. Okay. So it literally is with our bearing and our miles. It's pretty big, so could be anywhere on the property, honestly. Right, girls? So just want to show that, so it does match the miles and bearings in that direction of the astrology. And then I will add a picture to the end of, well, maybe I should just show you guys. Let me see. So I can point it out for people that maybe can't see it. I don't know if I can show them both together, though. I don't know if it lets me do that. Okay, I don't think it lets me go side by side. Nope. Crap. Okay, so you can see which, this is Rachel. You can see what she looks like. Now, look at right here where I'm circling. It looks exactly like her. You can see the hair wisp right here. Her nose is the exact same. The eyes, her hair. It's pretty cool. This was caught when I was on my camera when I was sleeping. It actually stayed there for quite a while. I tried to enhance it as much as I could, but it definitely is her. You can see the way that her hair is right here. And then you can see the same hair right here. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to show you guys if you didn't see it on the community page, but you can always check in the community page or in the group. Anyways, that was heavy and a lot, I know, but I wanted to validate everything, and all alleged, of course. So until next time. Meet the otter that guards my sacred sparkle. These aren't just any bracelets and products. They're energy tools from outer spirit. Real crystals, real intention, and real cute. Worn in every reading, loved through every channeling, and they're otter approved. Wearing intention matters, especially in my spiritual work. All pieces from Otter Spirit are handcrafted with real stones, protective energy, and a 2-year warranty. They're sacred, durable, and adorably wild, just like the ones who inspired them. And when you purchase, you're not just supporting my spiritual work. $1 from every bracelet goes to help protect real-life otters, too. Because cute chaos deserves protection. Durable, beautiful, and soul-aligned. Exactly how I like my tools and my people. Links in the description, in the Linktree, if you feel pulled. Also get 10% off with the code OtterFamily. Thank you for walking this path of truth and justice with me. If my work has resonated, please support freely by liking, subscribing, and leaving a positive comment. And if you feel called, even a coffee-sized contribution, including towards Justice's training, helps me keep searching, creating, and bringing light where it's needed. Together we honor spirit and move closer to justice.